The city of Palm Springs is trying to help Valley residents, especially seniors and folks in vulnerable communities, get vaccinated. The city is now teamed up with several local nonprofits for a program called Vaccine Buddies. I spoke today with Mayor Christy Holstege about this and other issues in Palm Springs. Christy, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me, Peter.
As the vaccine effort in the Coachella Valley continues to ramp up, the city of Palm Springs announced a partnership with several nonprofits for something called Vaccine Buddies. What can you tell us about it?
Thank you. I'm so proud to announce our Vaccine Buddy program. So we've been working with a number of nonprofits in Palm Springs and in the Coachella Valley who are offering volunteers to help people make appointments for COVID-19 vaccinations. So help find you an appointment and help go through the complicated process to make an appointment. We know a lot of people have fallen through the cracks who might not have the technological ability to make an appointment, might not have the time, language access, whatever reason. We're here to offer our assistance to help you get an appointment.
We've also heard from some viewers they've had issues getting to their vaccine appointments. Does this program address transportation?
Yes, so really proud to work with Mizell Senior Center, DAP Health, the LGBTQ Center, the Jocelyn Center, Jewish Family Services, Riverside County Workforce Development, a lot of agencies that already provide this type of support. So they have social workers and caseworkers and transportation assistants. So yes, we are working to really fix any barriers that people might be facing and getting to their vaccination appointment so that everyone who wants one in the city of Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley can get a vaccine.
And while we're on the topic of vaccinations, yesterday the vaccine site at the Palm Springs Convention Center had hundreds of doses set to expire, and so city leaders and others like yourself called on the community to come down to the site without appointments to get those vaccines. We saw hundreds of people lining up around the building for them, so I'm curious, what is it that you're hearing about this type of situation as it was developing, and does it concern you that there have been hundreds of doses that have been set to expire?
I'm really proud of our work at the Palm Springs Convention Center, getting that up as a vaccination site. We've vaccinated nearly 10,000 people so far, so it's been working really well. What we're facing now is that the state is opening it up on April 1st to people who are 50 plus, and then to anyone who wants it on April 15th. So I think what we're seeing is just, enough supply to really serve more of residents and not just the 65 plus and essential workers. So we're not wasting any vaccines. We're going to get them out to the community, but that is what you saw in the last few days is there was more supply than demand in terms of appointments made.
And you mentioned April 15th, that's when everyone will become eligible for the vaccine. Do you expect vaccine appointments to be harder to come by after April 15th, like when we were first receiving them in Riverside County?
I do believe that is what will happen. So we'll see a huge increase in demand, especially on April 15th when it's 16 plus and anyone who's an adult can get one. So yes, that's why we have the Vaccine Buddies program, knowing that it might become more difficult to make a vaccine appointment in the next few days or next coming weeks. And I do urge everyone to make an appointment now and get vaccinated as quickly as possible when you are eligible. And that way we can, get vaccines in arms as quickly as possible.
I notice you have a large picture of Marilyn Monroe behind you, so I have to ask about the Marilyn statue. The city has a lawsuit against it regarding the Forever Marilyn statue, and just yesterday a judge ruled the city must stop installation of the statue until a hearing is completed later this month. What is the city's response?
Thank you, Peter. And yeah, this is an art piece that I got locally here. And I know Marilyn has a place in hearts for residents in Palm Springs and in our community and our history. It's unfortunate that there's litigation happening around this statue. We did hold a public hearing and public meetings about this topic, and we didn't hear this opposition, and so we're hearing it now after we have a signed agreement to move forward and after we went through that public process. So we will go ahead and wait to see what the courts decide.
It's interesting, Christy. I recently interviewed designer Trina Turk and other people who have created a committee against the relocation of Maryland. This has made national headlines. I saw there was articles written in the LA Times. I mean, people are talking about this statue. Are you surprised that it has created this type of attention and opposition?
It's a bit surprising since we didn't hear it at the time when we made the decision. And then it's all coming after the fact, after the decision was made by the full city council. But, I'm never surprised when we make national headlines here in Palm Springs. We always like to go through a big process, and we always have a lot of community input on all the different sides of really any given issue. So I'm never surprised to see us making national headlines. We always want them to be for positive things about our community, and why Palm Springs is so unique. So I'm hopeful that we'll continue to do that and move forward together as a community.
And I know you're obviously a big champion for women's rights. One of the arguments that I think is kind of interesting from people who are against this statue is they feel like, the Marilyn Monroe statue with her dresses blown up and you could see her panties. They feel like it's sexualizing her, especially in the wake of the Me Too movement. Do you think that this is, I mean, what are your thoughts? Is this all overblown, or do you kind of see that?
Yeah, I am a sexual assault survivor. I've been public about that. I've dedicated my career to women's rights and discrimination faced by women and girls. So obviously it's a personal issue to me. I love the community conversation that we're having about this. I think it's really important to talk about, does this objectify women? Is this align with our values? Does this support an actress who, was self-empowered to, film that scene that it's representing? So I think it's a nuanced and complex conversation, and I appreciate that we're having it, and I appreciate that the statue generates that kind of conversation too, especially with visitors. And we're talking about ways we might incorporate that in the statue.
And I also want to ask you, the council recently decided to temporarily extend the permit for Well in the Desert as the council searches for a new location for homeless services. And tell us why a new location is needed and what the overall homeless situation looks like right now in the city of Palm Springs. And in your opinion, how much worse has it gotten during the pandemic?
We heard from the community that the current site of the Well in the Desert downtown is not working. It's not working for the Well in the Desert. It's not working for homeless clients who need a larger place to go and more showers and more services. We heard that it's a problem that it closes in the afternoon and then people have no housing and nowhere else to go. So we had a dedicated meeting with the county, which provides homelessness and housing services for our community. And we also got reports from the county about the programs that they're using to house people in Palm Springs and how many of those people are from Palm Springs, how many might have come from elsewhere, and how many might be exiting the program and not making it to permanent housing and then might end up on the street. So the county's Project Room Key, we heard, has a very great success rate. 65% or so of those people housed in Palm Springs hotels have made it to permanent housing so far, which is really great. But we do need to mitigate the impacts of that, and it is downtown and on a number of Palm Springs hotels. And I do think that that has created, for various reasons, homelessness has increased, especially in that area. And we're hearing it from all over the city, really, too. So we are taking this seriously. We know it's a major issue. This past year, we've already allocated $6 million to build hundreds of units of permanent supportive housing for homelessness, because that's what we hear is there's no housing for people to go. And that's the major holdup in this whole process.
A lot going on right now in Palm Springs. All right, Christy, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Peter.